On behalf of the National Insurance Corporation, I greet you to this very special discussion. My name is Augustin Louis. I'm the Communications Manager for the institution, and I'm privileged this morning to have with me a gentleman who I'll introduce to you shortly. He is an actuary, but before talking about the actuary, I need to inform you of the reason that we are here. The National Insurance Act states directly that the board shall, with the assistance of an actuary approved by the minister, review the operations of this act at the end of the year 2000 and thereafter, not later than every 5th year, and in such review, make a report to the minister on the financial condition of the fund and the adequacy or otherwise of the contributions payable under this act to support the benefits payable thereunder, having regard to other liabilities under this act. And the minister shall, as soon as possible after receiving any reports made under the preceding subsection, lay a copy of it before the House of Assembly. Although the law specifies a review every 5 years, we have been doing it every 3 years. This, we feel, gives us the ability to monitor the progress of the fund as time goes by. Today we are joined by Mr. Picard. He's French-Canadian. He's a pension actuary with over 25 years of experience. He provides advice to pension committees, employers, employees associations, and unions on the design of pension plans and funding. He has been contracted to review the actuarial valuations of the pension plans of the Quebec Civil Service as well as the Quebec Pension Plan on several occasions. The International Labour Office has also engaged him to conduct the actuarial valuations of the Social Security plans of Dominica and St. Lucia for the periods 2010 to 2012. So, Mr. Picard, I welcome you to St. Lucia, I welcome you to the NIC, and I went to our discussion this morning. You've been to St. Lucia maybe more than once. How has it been in this country? How have you found it in St. Lucia so far?
Thank you, Mr. Louis. It's my second visit to St. Lucia, and I have to say that it is the second time, and every time I come here, I love the place. I mean, I would have preferred to come here. Last year I was here in June. This year I'm here in July. I would have preferred to have been here in January, while where I come from in January, weather is like minus 30. So we have extreme weather. When I left Quebec City a week ago, the temperature was approximately the same as we have here right now. But like 6 months ago, it was minus 30. So I hope next time I'll come here, it's going to be in January.
In January?
January or February.
Okay,
These are the worst months.
Okay, so I hope that the good weather has enabled you to do your work much better for our valuations. But anyway, coming to the meat of the discussion, I noticed that you've been contracted by the ILO to do some work. Briefly, tell us what is the real role of the ILO as far as employers, employees, trade unions are concerned. What is the role of the ILO in relation to these institutions?
Not a lot of people know about ILO. The ILO stands for International Labour Office. This is the international organization which is responsible for the drawing up and the overseeing of international labor standards. This is the only three-party United Nations agency that brings together representatives of government, employers, and workers to jointly shape up programs and policies in order to promote decent work for all. The ILO has three main objectives, four objectives. The first one is to promote rights for work, rights at work. The second one is to encourage decent employment opportunity. The third one is to enhance social protections, which are the reason why I'm here. And the fourth objective is to strengthen dialogues between on work-related issues. These are the main objectives of ILO.
So what is the role of ILO in this specific project that you're undertaking now?
Yeah, the role of ILO is to, in this project here, is to provide technical experts like me. I'm the project actuary on that project, but I'm not alone to work on that project. I work also with an analyst who do the modeling for me. I work also, all my report that I've written has been reviewed by people at the ILO. The head office of ILO is in Geneva. It has been reviewed by specialists also in Geneva and specialists on legal aspects, on ILO standards, to make sure that we respect all the standards of the ILO.
Oh, I see. So based on all what you've done so far, how have you been able to assess the viability of the NIC as you sit now as a result of all your inquiries?
Yeah, an actual review is quite of a complex exercise. So what we have to do to assess the viability of the National Insurance Fund is we have to project, making a lot of assumptions. We have to project for example, we start by projecting the population of St. Lucia over the next 50 or 50-something years. And then we project the labor force, the employments, people that are going to be covered by NIC. And then with all of that, we project the earnings of those people. And then with all of that, we project the contributions that we're going to be paid by the employers and the employees over the next 50 years. We project the benefits that the pensioners will receive from NIC over the next 50 years, and the whole exercise is to see if that's in balance, if there will be enough contribution to pay the benefits over the projection period.
And so far, it looks okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough contribution for a long time, so in order that not worrying about the level of contribution or the level of benefit for now.
Okay, well, that brings to another question, because we've had a lot of these questions there about the retirement age. And in your considerable experience, how would you see the retirement age in St. Lucia as against retirement in the Caribbean, in other places? Is it unfair here? Is it too high? Is it too low? In your experience, how do you feel about retirement age?
Retirement age here, you've started a couple of years ago to increase the retirement age from age 60 to 65. In the Caribbean countries, in the regions, almost all countries are either already at age 65 or they are in the process of increasing retirement age from 60 to 65. As you've mentioned, I think in my introduction, I've worked also, I'm working presently again for the second time with the Dominica Social Security, and they've just adopted this year to increase the retirement age from 60 to 65 over the next 10 years. So they should reach 65 in 2021, I think. You're going to reach 65 in 2015. Other countries are already at age 65. If we look on an international basis, other countries are, almost all other countries, at least in the OECD country, they're already at age 65, and many of them have already taken steps to increase that age over 65. For example, from where I come from in Canada, in last March, the government announced that the retirement age for the old age security pension will be increased from 65 to 67 starting in 2023. So it's going to start to increase, and in 2029 it's going to be 68. No, not 68, 67, excuse me. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to retire. I'll have to retire to 67.
And you would be aware that one of our actuarial reviews pointed to certain problems the fund might have faced if we did not change certain things. Now, we made a number of adjustments, including moving the retirement age from 60 progressively to 65, as you do. In your evaluation, have you noticed any significant changes, like an improvement in the country, an improvement in the funds of the fund, or any effect of those decisions that we took? Have you been able to see anything?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the most important change that have been made was the decision to And I understand it was not an easy decision to make when you have to announce to the population that you're going to increase the retirement age. It's not an easy decision to make, but it was the most important one to make because it has an impact on two things. It has an impact on the going forward on the number of pensioners that's going to be in the system, in the scheme. So it reduces the number of going forward of pensioners you're going to have, and on the other side it increases the number of contributors you're going to have. So when you look at the ratio of number of contributor per retirees or per pensioners, it has a significant impact on that ratio. And in a national pension schemes where it is financed on what we call a pay-as-you-go, so it's not fully funded, the most important ratio is the ratio of contributors to pensioners. So it had a significant impact on that ratio, and it really helped the viability or sustainability of the plan as life expectancy is increasing year after year. You're not different than any other countries. Your life expectancy is increasing, and when life expectancy increases, I mean, there's no choice but increasing the age at which people should retire.
Well, this brings me to another question immediately. Do we have any empirical information that in St. Lucia people are actually living longer? I mean, although it's supposed to be all over the world, but do we have any empirical information that St. Lucians are actually living longer now?
Yeah, for sure. The last empirical data we had on mortality in St. Lucia was in 2007. And when they were looking, it is an easy exercise to do. You only have to calculate at which age people in St. Lucia died in 2007, and you compare that average age at death to what was the case 10 years earlier, and you're going to observe that the people are dying at an average age which is higher. So that has been, in fact, observed, and it is observed in every country in the world.
Okay. In another direction, we have invested, we do a lot of investments of the NIC funds.
Yeah.
From your evaluations, are you prepared to advise on how we have been doing with the investments, how our returns have been compared to what maybe you might expect as an actuary?
Yeah, the investment return, I looked at the investment return recently for St. Lucia over the past 10 years. Based on my calculation of investment return, over the past 10 years, the investment return have been on average 6.8%, which is quite a good return if you take into consideration that we had really we had a recession, a worldwide recession in 2008, 2009. So 6.8% average return over 10 years is quite a good return, especially when you compare that to the assumptions that as an actuary and the prior actuary made on an assumption on future return. The assumption is 5%. So 6.8 is 1.8 above the assumption that actuaries have made in the prior valuation and in the current valuation. So as long as you can realize more than 5%, this is good news. But this is I would say a daily challenge for the investment committee and the NIC management team involved in investment, because what is happening right now is that the rate of return or the interest rates on government bonds is decreasing all over the world. I mean, because interest rates are going down on government bonds, and a significant percentage of the investment of NICs in government bonds, St. Lucia's, some other in the region, I think Barbados, and then if the interest rates are offered on those bonds is going down, then it's going to be more challenging to get that return of at least 5%, which is assumed in the actuarial review.
Okay. In this interview, I think we'll speak about almost everything that we committed to, given the time that we have. One of the principal players with NIC is the employers, because the employers need to submit their returns and pay the contributions in order that the things can work properly. Maybe coming from you, some employers might take note of their role in the whole question of how national insurance functions. Are you prepared to speak to them briefly on the importance of their participation in the national insurance, so they can really understand the key role which they play, so they can be a little more cooperative? with us and compliant with the national insurance.
Yeah, I mean, each employer should understand their critical role on the future income security of their employees. I know that some employers are more concerned about the income securities at retirement of their employees, but all of them should be really concerned of that, because if their employees don't have enough money to live on at retirement, I mean, they're gonna end up on social assistance, and government will have to spend money to give them money on social assistance. And government money not come from the trees; it comes from the taxpayers' pocket. So, is it gonna have to pay at one end or the other? So, I think that the employer should make sure that all the employees pay their NIC contribution, so that they will have an income to live on at retirement.
Okay, I hope the employers will hear it from you, not only from me, they're hearing it from me now, so I think they'll take more note. There's another issue which seems to plague me all the time. People keep on saying that they would be better off with a private pension plan than contributing to national insurance. Are you able to advise on this? It's a very current topic, whether person should, those who can opt for a private pension and not contribute to NIC. How would you advise those persons?
Yeah, I think the answer to that question is not whether one or the other. I think the answer to that question is one and the other. Like in Canada, we have a social security plan, but most people also contribute to either an insurance company or what we call in Canada an RSP, which is a registered retirement savings plan, which is an individual plan where you can put money aside for your retirement. So I think that it would be, the answer would be people should do both, contribute to NIC and contribute to a private plan or an insurance company to increase their retirement, or if they want to retire at age 60, while the NIC retirement age will be 65, that private plan could be the bridge between age 60 and 65 for those people.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. Now, even from the brief remarks you've made, it appears that we are doing very well at this point. The NIC is doing very well. So, since we are doing very well at this point, do you think there'd be any justification now or in the near future to increase contributions or contribution rates at the NIS, considering our current status of doing very well?
For now, as I said, when we project the contribution and benefits, we see that there is enough contributions, taking into account the current reserve that NIF already have, which represent 26 times the payments in the current year. So with that reserve and the current contribution rate, we don't see for now an urgency to increase the contribution rate. But the ceiling on which the contribution is made, though, because you probably know that contribution is on salary up to a certain maximum ceiling, which is $5,000 a month. So what we are recommending is to increase that ceilings each year based on the increase in the average wage.
Now, in our readings or in my readings or in our speaking there, say that the NIC program is a young one. Now, I know we are about over 40 years in business. So we're still young at 40 years. At what age do we start attaining maturity as a social security organization?
The maturity of a social security schemes usually is at the time where the first contributor to the scheme has retired and he has died, and his survivor has finished to receive the last pension. So it takes usually something like around 70 years for that. Right. So it started in 1971, so it should be mature around 2040, 2041.
And you mean, so you will remain a young scheme until
2041? So you're still young, Mr. Louis.
Now, with your examinations also, because I'm asking about your examinations, have you noticed any events, maybe now, in the future, currently, which you think is going to seriously impact the viability of the national insurance?
I mean, there's a lot of things when you look regionally and internationally. When you look at what happened everywhere in the world on the economic side, there would be a lot of reason to be worried. But When you look at what happened in Europe, where you see some countries that are not able to pay the interest on their country, the bounds that the countries are. And I heard that something also happened really recently in the region, that the country was made default on the payments of their interest. It happened in Dominica in 2005. But from what I've seen from the investment that the investment committee here and the NIC team are doing, this seems to be to have success on staying away of that kind of more risky investment. Sometimes it could be tempting of going and investing in a certain product where the investment return, which is promise, seems to be interesting, but it has to be looked at against the risk it represents. And I think the investment committee here and the NIC team are doing a good job of balancing risk, investment return and risk. That's an important job to do.
Okay, so having heard you, can I conclude that we have done well, even despite the recession that we had over the years and so?
Yeah, like in the recession of 2008, 2009, there was a little decrease in the number of contributors, but it was completely compensated, because like this year I heard that there is 1,000 more contributors than we were expecting in our projection. So it seems that, and so it's only a small decrease in the number of contributor, no decrease in the contribution, so it has been compensated by salary increases. So the contribution didn't decrease during the recession period, and the investment return was good also in that period. So if you compare for private pension plan, even like if you want to hear a bad figure, in 2008, the Quebec pension plan investment return was at minus 25%. So you were not even close. You were always above 5% or almost in here. So it was, good investment return, even though with the recession.
On that note, I will ask you whether you have any closing remarks at this time.
Closing remark, I think I would say that you have a good national pension schemes, and also schemes that protects against employment injury, sickness, and those benefits. And you should make sure that everything's done to preserve that good schemes, which means that you have to keep the good job and the good governance.
Well, on behalf of all the contributors to the National Insurance, I want to thank you for reassuring us that at least we're on track.
Yeah.
And we'll keep on track.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.